Bag, I want the bag. Work my way from a garden to a track. Flip it from a track to a plot full of acres. Do it for the farmers and producers and the makers. What we even here for? Occasionally I ask it. I know it's more than struggling, anticipating the casket. Reap what we sow, trying to fill up my basket. Life's a plantation, I self-law and master. Over the plot I've been granted on this planet. Now it's slanted, cause the chosen been supplanted. But if you overstand it, it was spoken. Fractured, but we ain't broken. Even though some would rather play the role of token, we growing. Black through the essence of a presence. We carry the blood of gods, we carry the mind of peasants. Rich black gardens, future look more like Eden. Multiply seeds like the seed banks in Sweden. Rep my planners on plan according to season. B1 code, switching it up is treason. Black power, family what we eat. Either we get fed or we feed. B1AG.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips to balance in favor of fair use. Welcome Black, welcome Black, welcome Black. B1AG Family. I'm John Henry Harris. We have Farmer Brown, the MC. Here at B1AG, we focus on Black agriculture as it pertains to agricultural production, education, marketing, health, food, nutrition, and economics, all for the Black family and the Black community. What's happening? What's going on? What's growing on? We have a very serious topic today. Here at B1AG, we focus on, basically the plight of our Black farmers, what that means for us in our daily lives, as well as learning how to grow your own food, becoming more self-sufficient, being able to empower yourself just by the means of using your God-given right to feed yourself. Now, this story today, we really want to look at the Black community, the B1 family, but as we look at this and take a broader look at what's going on in our community, this same thing is going on all across the world. This is not an issue that is mutually exclusive to the B1 family, the B1AG family. This is going on globally. So today, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. We're looking at this food security problem. And it's what's growing on. Global food shortages continue to worsen. A lot of times, because of social media and, you can customize any kind of information that you receive now, with your own playlist and things of that nature. So a lot of important news items go over our heads or don't even come across our radar. But there is a real global food shortage that is here. Now, don't be complacent or think that everything is fine because you may not be hungry today. But I can tell you right now, just like you have these, me and Farmer Brown were talking earlier, now you have these people wanting to come knock on your door to see if you've taken the jab, make sure that you've been, if you vaxxed that thing up. What are you going to do when famine or hunger comes knocking at your door? Farmer Brown, let's address this serious issue today. We don't want it to be gloom and doom, but we got to be real with y'all, B1AG family. We got to be real with y'all about this issue that's going on as we speak. This is a real problem, and we need to address it. And actually, the most clear-cut solution to address this is very simple. Farmer Brian MC, hey, let's get into it. Let's get into it today, bro. Let's let them have it. Let's talk about this food.
First, I'd just like to say peace to the B1 family. Hope everybody's doing well considering the circumstances. We're going to get straight into it. And so I remember back in 2018, I was, working on getting some presentations together And according to the World Health Organization, there are 850 million human beings around what we call Tierra Madre, planet Earth, that are facing food insecurity, meaning that, if I want to get up in the morning, I might not have anywhere to go to actually get food. 850 million. That number is now up to almost 950 million as of 2021. So this is literally less than 2 years, about two and a half years. There's literally 100 million more people who are food insecure. A lot of times it's easy to get caught up in the numbers, and we tend to, get jaded by all of the things we see on our timelines, different events going on in social media. Okay, a lot of times, okay, well, that's going on somewhere else. I would like to send my deep, heartfelt condolences to the brothers and sisters in the Caribbean right now, whether you're talking about Cuba or Haiti. And we'll discuss this a little later. It's one thing fighting about social justice, but it's another thing when you're talking about food being available. I heard something about a bag of rice is like $200 due to inflation in some of these places, just because of the scarcity. But within this 950 million around the world that's food insecure, okay, let's bring this back to Turtle Island. Let's bring this back home. So right now in North America, and this is according to the Washington Post, let me not, lend my opinion. There's 20 million people that are classified as North American citizens who are food insecure. That means I don't have any food available. I'm scrounging from day to day. And there are 42 million on top of that 20 million that, I got food available, but it's the noodles, it's the highly processed foods, it's the corner store foods. So what we have is a situation where there are 60 million people who are not getting their daily nutrition. I'm all for social justice. I'm all for political reform, police reform, the rights of, human rights of people. But the thing that the Most High granted us was the garden, this grand garden that we live on, where it's 7.5 billion of us right now to eat. We're surrounded by arable land that can produce food, yet we have literally almost 1 billion people that are going without. Once again, these are more than headlines. These are more than numbers. Right now, just about every continent on this planet right now is facing severe food shortages and food security issues. And we know here in North America, this part of the diaspora, that it's the highly melanated people, the sun-kissed people, who tend to catch the brunt of this food insecurity. This conversation we're having today isn't about disparaging any other groups, more so than really focusing on now, what are we going to do? Are we going to eat soy and green cubes and live on jabs? Or are we going to discuss how we can go about creating a more formidable food system?
B1AG Family, I think it's very important that we do take a global look at what's going on with food security. It's a worsening problem all across the planet. Almost every single continent on this planet is facing the same problem at the same time. Our food system is all of our whole economic system is a global system. What happens way over across the seas affects what's going on in your zip code. Please know that, understand that. Now, when we started this, we were, talking about doing the story today, we were just going to look at Cuba and Haiti. But as we were doing our research, we're like, hold up, man, this is going on everywhere. Everywhere. People are rioting, protesting because they don't have enough food. Now, here in America, we may be shielded and blinded from a lot of this. Not everywhere. Because again, with the stat we just read, you got 20 million people in this country that are starving, and another 44 million people on top of that are on the verge. That's 64 million people, y'all. Y'all know somebody that's hungry if you're not hungry. That's a lot of people. If you're not hungry, you know somebody who's hungry, or when you ride down the street, you see hungry people. Now, when you get increasing numbers of hungry people, there's desperation that comes attached to that. There's, a desperation. If we don't make sure that our people are food secure, they're going to turn around and eat you. So I do have a short video I would like to share because the story in Cuba and Haiti, they're very big right now. There are people protesting, like really protesting what's going on about the food security and other things. All of this food insecurity is only being exacerbated. It's only being made worse by this pandemic that we're in. Pandemic, however you want to say it. But family, it's a serious situation. Everybody needs to put on their thinking caps. Everybody needs to put their best foot forward because we need solutions and not just solutions that we talk about. It's time to put some action behind our words. We got to get these seeds in the ground.
And this morning, there's anger among Cubans being expressed in the streets. Protests are breaking out across Cuba and being supported by Cuban Americans in the U.S. Demonstrators are demanding change as they're forced to deal with food shortages and price hikes, all as the country suffers from the coronavirus. ABC's Andrew Dimberg has more.
This morning, new turmoil in Cuba. Cubans taking to the streets, protesting food and medicine shortages. The largest demonstrations in nearly 3 decades in a country notorious for cracking down on dissent. An economic crisis has hit the island nation hard, forcing people to wait hours in line for food and job opportunities, scarce since the pandemic. Cuba's president blames U.S. restrictions on exports, foreign funds, and travel. Cubans across the U.S. voicing their support for the protesters. Thousands shutting down streets in Miami Sunday, many demanding American politicians intervene.
I want to see the president to see something and to do something for Cuba now.
We have to make sure that their message today and every day moving forward isn't lost, and that the true nature of this barbaric regime is exposed.
In April, Raul Castro stepped down as leader, prompting increasing calls for change in the communist nation. Andrew Dimber, ABC News, New York.
Looking at Cuba as a case study, and I don't want to step out of lane. I've never been fortunate to travel to Cuba, but putting this in perspective, Cuba, when we think about our ancestors that was brought here across the Atlantic, the Aboriginal ancestors that were on what we call the Caribbean islands, this is some of the best arable farmland in the world. That's what drew the ire of colonizers from around the world to those specific islands. So right now, 60% of the land in Cuba is used for agriculture, 60%. However, 80% of the food that they eat is imported, meaning even though my 60% of my pie is perfect for growing food, 80% of what we eat is coming from somewhere else. And there's about 11.4 million people in Cuba. Okay, let's go up the Gulf of Mexico. In North America, there's 390 million people, and we're down to about 40% of our land is being used for agriculture. And that's a drop, meaning it was more land being used, now it's less land being used for agriculture. I'm saying that to say, putting this in perspective, if this can happen in Cuba, we see that there are many political dynamics going on. I'm not a politician, so I can't begin to get in the minds of politicians, but I can think about all of these new encroaching dynamics going on right now. Like you said, knocking on doors, urging you to vax that thing up. Just a few hours ago, the Surgeon General talking about, hey, Facebook, social media, y'all need to crack down on these people giving misinformation. I can only speak from my experience. A lot of the misinformation I'm hearing, because, I'm trying to come from a healthy perspective, right? I don't like to sit around with a tinfoil kufi. A lot of the misinformation I'm hearing is brothers and sisters and people coming across talking about, hey, food is medicine, healthy foods, natural foods, things that grow up the earth. And so whether we agree with this or not, there is a intentional faction that's saying, okay, no, we want, in this problem reaction solution dynamic, we only want there to be one profitable solution that goes into you, not your mouth, saying that to say, if we see this going on in Cuba, right now in South Africa, there are food shortages. There are riots going on specifically around food not being available. Because of these riots, we think about what happened last year with the George Floyd riots. Once again, absolutely, there's a need for justice. But what was another piece of that conversation? We heard about a lot of businesses getting shut down, a lot of stores getting shut down. Within these stores are food. And typically, a lot of times, these are in communities where melanated people live. And so we have a story later we'll play from South Africa, Pakistan, Afghanistan, North Korea, even China. Right now, all of these different places are having food security issues. And when we think about China, once again, not being disparaging of a group, so they've been watching TV, watching the internet, what we call the world power of the West and how we eat. And so now you have nations around the world that's like, hey, they've been eating like this for so long, we want to eat this way too. Here at B1AG, we're not moral authorities more so than, hey, this is the dynamic with food. There's only so many grains, oils, fish, whatever it is we're exporting, pork, beef. There's only so much of that grown, and then there's only so many people who have the buying power to get it. The Asians, the Chinese understand we're codified. We want 60% of y'all's pork. And so if y'all are growing 100 head of y'all are growing 100 pigs, we want 60 of them. I know y'all got a nation of a couple 100 million people, but we want this over here. And they exert buying power to make that happen. How do we tie this conversation to the melanated community? We always heard that money talks, BS walks. How much are we investing into our food security? Because nations around the world, and I guarantee that the people making these high-level decisions aren't missing any meals. The people that are saying, well, instead of us really, spreading the wealth around all people who want to get out here and really produce some food, we'll just make it available for a few people and give y'all what's left. We'll give you medicine, we'll give you health care, but we're not going to give you food to keep you healthy. These people aren't going without food. When we think about this concept of philanthropy. And so it is very interesting that many of these places that we see this vast food insecurity are places where a lot of these philanthropical, good-hearted people want to just come and help the lowly brown people, and the hunger gets worse. Well, what do we have going here? One of the largest philanthropical organizations, which I'm not going to call, but the head of it, who just recently divorced, owns 240-some thousand acres of farmland in North America. They also created your computer. They also created viruses that you have to buy the solution from them. And so if that mindset would say, I'm going to do this with a computer, we see we're coming into a technology-driven world. Whether that's good or bad, this is what it is. I do think it's many places that technology can benefit agriculture, the way we produce our food, fuel, and fiber. But what happens when these decisions are in the hands of a few people who happen to come from eugenicist bloodlines?
B1AG family. We've been talking a lot about the droughts going out on the West Coast in the western part of the United States, the west and northwestern part of the United States. That area produces food for the whole world. Farmers are deciding to not plant now because they don't know when the next rain is coming. And they also it's not even enough rain to plant. So we're fine. Mostly we're fine now. But what's it going to look like in the next couple of months when we were expecting, or we usually have this harvest coming from the West Coast? That's not going to be there. That's a few short months away. We're expecting to get those apples, cherries, milk, almonds, different types of berries, strawberries, blueberries, all this food that we get from the West Coast year after year after year, and we've been getting it for year after year after year. It's not going to be there when we're expecting it to be in the next few months.
How does it, man? You in Kentucky? What you worried about? What's going on in California? How many almond orchards did you say got taken up? Almond tree orchards got taken up in the West Coast.
Like thousands of acres of almonds, trees, like
So I
almond.
eat almonds. My babies have never drank dairy. My babies have never drank cow milk. You know, we were very intentional wanting to make sure. So they drink almond milk, right? Well, where do you get almond milk from? You know, it's a value added product. You get it from almonds. You know, I eat a lot of mixed nuts. So, you know, maybe the almond milk will be available, but it's not going to be the $2.50 to $3 that I pay for it now. It'll be $5, $6. Okay, you know, if you're fortunate to be in a position to be able to pay for it, but what happens when everything that we're consuming? Because they eat a lot of blueberries too, and so literally everything. You know, you're just trying to be a conscientious parent, making sure that your offspring, making sure that your children, your family are eating as healthy as possible. We know the healthiest food tends to be fruits and vegetables, right? Even, you know, I'm not necessarily a vegetarian. I'm working my way towards it, but what happens when the areas that produce these healthy foods on an industrial scale are no longer able to do it because of climatic conditions? I will also say on the positive end, guess what? This is where urban agriculture comes in. This is where growing in high tunnels, greenhouses. This is where growing in your backyard, growing on your patio can at least supplement some of your green leaf vegetables, some of your lettuce, some of your greens, your onions, garlic. But there are different things that we consume, we're able to produce where we're at, wherever we're at. The technology, the information, the knowledge exists. We're in a world of information. It's very frustrating to me as I was just, you know, because I try to keep up with what's going on around the world. I try not to just get limited to the tunnel vision of what's going on here. And so when I think about a lot of what is occupying, just speaking in, you know, as a melanated family, what's occupying a lot of our attention, not everybody, but a critical mass. I think about, man, if there was as many people concerned about who's beefing online, who said this about that person, if there was as many people concerned about, now, how are we going to protect Black producers? How are we going to create more Black producers? How are we going to make sure the kids, the 3rd through 5th graders, the pre-K, the teenagers of 2021 at least have a concept on how to produce food or a niche within this system, or at least know what real food looks like? Because I guarantee you, if we leave this in the hands of other people who are scraping and scrounging around right now, trying to figure out how to keep the system they designed going, we see that the system that they designed hadn't been working too well for us. So this is why I say we have one of the greatest opportunities in our lifetimes to really change the dynamic, the paradigm when it comes to the B1 family. Like I said, when you see these stories of starvation going on around the world, I think about the withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan. Like I said, I'm not deep enough into military tactics to understand, you know, why, but I can say, okay, we've been there X amount of years, and upon leaving, they're now food insecure. Depending on who you're listening to, what school of thought you come to, some people say, hey, they're taking them from there to bring them here for the domestic issues. Well, who are the domestic problems? Are these the people that protest the election, so to speak? These are the people who are skeptical about new ways of medicating people. So saying that to say, we're in a very, you know, without trying to give opinion, we're in a changing world where there's a bit of truth in anything you say, right? And so the concept is, how is that affecting us on the ground level? Those of us, I just want to wake up in the morning, be the best universal man, be the best universal woman I can be, and make sure we get to the next generation. Make sure the next generation is not only at the same level, but better than the previous generation. We attain this through health. How do we get health? We get that through food. We get that through exercise. We get that through social interactions. Where I'm at in Central Kentucky, you know, they're talking about the Delta Lambda. I don't know which Greek letter it is now, but these different variants, that is profitable. There are entities that are profiting off of the fear, whether it's based in truth. I know there's a lot of people who have lost loved ones because of what's going on right now. But saying that to say, we do know maybe you can't solve all problems, but many of the problems we're facing right now can be solved through growing your own food, or having a network of people working within a cooperative of people who grow different foods that people within that cooperative consume. These are very practical. I imagine if you did a case study with a lot of the people in these countries that we're speaking of right now, Cuba, your Haiti, your South Africa, North Korea, Pakistan, Afghanistan, if they, you hate to be in a situation where you're saying, man, I wish I would, I wish I could have. But I imagine if you did a case study, the majority of them would say, well, man, if I knew it was going to be like this, these people came over here and said they're going to help us. These people came over here and said they're going to help us build our economy. I didn't know getting my economy built. I didn't know helping my family. We got these new initiatives to help the family. I didn't know your help was going to render me unable to feed myself. Had I known that, I would have been cool. I'm cool with your blankets, your syphilis or your plague-riddled blankets, so to speak. If you understand what I'm saying, what can we do for ourselves, family? And what I can tell you is I think the majority of the world's seeds now come from like 6 different large entities. That's only going to continue to taper down to less. Right now, as we're able to talk on this platform, we still do have a semblance of freedom to express your thoughts and opinions. But if we also see that there is an encroaching effort to stifle people's voices, the writing is on the wall about where this world is going. What happens? I noticed one of the situations in Cuba, they were saying how social media, the internet went down. Here in the last few months, we've seen these shortages. We've seen the all of these shutdown ransomware attacks going on here in North America, Turtle Island. What does this mean when it becomes a food issue? What if you can't log on online and see your favorite content creator? What if you can't log online to Google and say, now, hey, how do I plant a seed here? Because the thing about growing food, I say it in such a utopian way. It's not like, okay, today I'm going to plant a seed and now tomorrow my food security issue is settled. It doesn't work like that. Agriculture, gardeners understand this is a patient process. And it's not a process you're going to know exactly what to do immediately. You're not going to get an immediate yield. We've been enthralled in this microwave society where we've been socialized to expect outcomes immediately. Not everybody, but a critical mass of people expect, when I drive up to this drive-thru, I expect there to be something coming through that drive-thru window after I give my fiat, after I give my card. When I go to this grocery store, I expect to walk out with something in the bag that I'm going to go home and eat. The Most High didn't send down grocery stores. The Most High didn't send us the debit or credit cards. The Most High didn't send us fast food joints. Depending on which ideology, we were thrusted in a garden. When I say a garden, I mean a planet that produces food. And so for us to be a part of a group here in North America that only represents 1.4% of overall producers, we have to ask ourselves, are there some more discussions we need to be having? Because somebody's having these discussions, and I guarantee if they're not melanated, they're not focusing their discussion on how to make sure these melanated people eat over ourselves.
B1AG Family, let's just look at the math for Cuba. 60%, over half of their land, and there's only 11 million people, 60% of their land is for growing food. But they export 70 to 80% of their food. But import that same 70, 80%. Make it make sense to me.
Let me play devil's advocate. So in the United States, it's similar. Like I said, we don't have these conversations to disparage any producers of any ethnicity. We focus our conversation around ours, team B1. That's their economy. For the people that are able to eat in Cuba, the Caribbean, hey, we bring money into our economy through tourism and exporting these agricultural goods that grow so well here, fruits, vegetables. How do you supplement that? How do you replace that? But once again, it goes back to this concept. If you do a case study you got to talk to the elders. You got to talk to the elders who have watched this process happen. I remember, I didn't have a lot of this fiat currency in my pocket, but I remember I could just go outside and it was something I could pull off of a tree. I could walk up this dirt road and there was food on all sides of me. Before there was a such thing as a car, before there was a such thing as a drive-through. Now I got this phone I ain't gonna get too much nutrition out of it. When we think about Haiti, if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, they're sitting on some of the most valuable resources. When we're talking not just food, but actual minerals and resources that can be used to create fuel, different products were used. It's the same dynamic of Africa. You sit on all of these diamonds, yet why is there so much food insecurity? North America is some of the best land. If you're just looking at it from a map, this is beautiful land, beautiful land. It's not completely depleted. We're in a slow process just because of the consumer demand of we want more, 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 more. So saying that to say in a place like Cuba, their economy is based on exporting what they're growing there. It is not necessarily at this moment in time today profitable for them to have just a bunch of local people who are just growing food for each other. But as we have this conversation, reimagining what food security looks like. I've lived long enough to enjoy the so-called convenience of fast food, being able to go to a grocery store. But if I'm going to be practical, if I'm going to be realistic, my mom asked me a few months ago, do you feel like you deserve anything? And that is a hard question to answer. It's a hard question to answer. I can absolutely say there's things I desire, there's things I want, but do you deserve anything? Do you deserve for every time I ride up to a store that there's going to be something available? And so it boils down to I have to ask myself, now what have I really done? You know, I go to work, I try to do an honest job, you know, be straight up with people. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about something very tangible as food security, there's only so much one individual can do. I know some great farmers who put in a lot of work, but if the only people available to buy from you are people who not going to pay you top price for your products, what do? The people that you look most like don't even shop with you. What do? The markets, the stores that, you know, most other farmers are able, I ain't gonna say most, many other farmers are able to put their products in. They don't want my products. You go to the farmers markets. I challenge some of the B1 family. I know down south in the southeast, there's a lot more farmers markets that are friendly to melanated farmers. But the farther up north you go, I challenge you to go to a farmers market and see if you see anybody that you recognize or resembles you physically. But there's something we can do about it, because we know, if nothing else, regardless of our vernacular, regardless of our slang, our side, our region, we all have to eat. We're talking about $5. You know, what is 44 million melanated people in North America? And I'm being very abstract, but trying to make a point here. There's 44 million people in North America that eat. They absolutely eat. Some people eat more than others. But if there was a $5 investment per wherever your region is to X amount of farmers, you develop local adopt a farm programs to where we know this year X amount of us are going to we're going to put $5 in the pot. We're going to evenly spread it out to X amount of melanated farmers who are experienced, right? First things first, make it rain on those who are experienced that are already producing food. That's where the majority of it goes. Then there's going to be a percentage that goes to up and coming, those who have shown through their intent that they want to be producers, but may not have access to land, may not understand the ins and outs about getting into agricultural business. But there's bread made available for training with these farmers who already know what's going on, right? With the farmers who already have experience. And then, so we're breaking it down into thirds, those who are already producing, those that, you know, within the right age that show the potential to produce, and then planting the seeds with the young ones. And we're talking about $5 per melanated person that eats. We wouldn't have elders like John Boyd. We wouldn't have, you know, the different organizations who have been trying to put this fight up, trying to figure out, okay, the government's not helping me out. Where can I get help? And, you know, once again, this isn't about pocket watching. How many of us spend $5 on something we get nothing from? We're going to have some real conversations, family. I hate to sound like a broken record, but I love it. I love it because this is one of the greatest opportunities we have right now. Because the world is in such disarray, nobody really has time to trip us up like historically, you know, other groups have done. And so the level that we're able to codify and first just see the value and reasserting ourselves within this agricultural food production realm, to that degree, we'll be able to better control our destiny. Because it doesn't look good right now if we sit back waiting on other people to solve these problems.
And as we see this is really growing and becoming a global issue, like we're not sitting, like we only got a taste of it at the beginning of the pandemic. This is the first time in my life I've ever gone to, major grocery stores and seen whole sections of food empty. That was pretty troubling, to say the least, for me. Like, dang, like, and this is me having the knowledge and being conscious of the fact that these major stores, whether it be your Kroger's, whether it be your Walmart's or IGA or whatever, wherever you shop, Publix, Food Line, there's only 3 days worth of standing food in these stores. That's where the trucking industry comes in, the logistics, and these trucks have to come every 3 days to make sure that there's food in these stores. Hey, y'all, this problem is real. Like we keep pushing, grow your own food. You can even go to healthyblackfood.com. We have a great course for you to help you learn how to grow your own food. We're talking about survival, y'all. This is about survival. Survival. We all got to eat. But do you want to place that responsibility in the hands of somebody else? Or do you want to be able to control or do you want to be able to eat when you want to eat?
Bro, I just did some simple math, and I'm not a mathematician at all. But the dynamic, I said, okay, so we say it's 44 million melanated people in North America. We know everybody eats. So 44 million, and we do this as a 10-year plan. In year one, of 44 million melanated people donated $5. Obviously, the kids might not have $5, but if I'm a parent and I have another kid, I'm going to give $5 for myself and then $5 for my kid. That equates to $220 million. $220 million. Like I said, we're looking at a 10-year plan. And so if you divided that 220 million divided by 5,000 farmers, it ain't nothing but about 30,000, 40,000 black farmers as it is. And this is just generated from the melanated community. If there are friends out there that want to contribute, great. But for the 44 million of us that want to eat, want some sort of food security. So this equates to about a $44,000 irrigation in 5,000 different black farmers' operations. If you can continue this for 10 years, you affect 50,000. 50,000 different farmers. 44,000 a year. So year one, 44 million melanated people give $5. I'm not saying give it to me. Do it within your region. This is where these cooperatives come into play. But if there is a very intentional goal of, we know every year I'm going to put $5. Matter of fact, for the next 10 years, I know I'm going to invest $5. We're going to cut out the middle, what a Booker T. Watley say, avoid the middleman like the plague. We're going to specifically make it rain on these farmers. And I'll tell you, some farmers don't need it. And so if you're able to affect if you can give 5,000 farmers in what we call North America, $44,000 in a year, specifically, hey, we're investing in food. We want produce. We want vegetables that are directly shipped to us, that are directly made available to us. We know there's members of the community that got a little bit more to contribute than others, but this is how we take care of each other. Like I said, this is $220 million, just 44 million of us that eat, giving $5 a year, not to the middleman, but the actual producers. 44,000 will go a long way when it comes to getting your operation going, especially when you're talking about vegetable production. The 44,000, hey, this is something that can be used while we're sitting waiting on the government to decide if they're going to give the debt relief, if they're going to decide they're going to give COVID relief, as these different Greek letters keep expanding of different variants. I'm being funny, but I'm being very serious. And there are some very practical conversations we're going to have if we're going to have a formidable food security within our community, within the nation. It was a content creator, Alex Jones, said, if I go hungry, I'll eat my neighbor. I think a lot of people thought that was funny, but he was being honest. I don't think I would go as far as eating my neighbor, but I'm not going to sit here and proclaim what I wouldn't do when it comes to feeding my children. But what I will do is figure out how I can grow harder. What I will do is figure out now how can I get more seeds in the ground for what I can't grow. You know, how many people am I reaching out to that know how to produce? How many people do I know that, okay, you're able to store this, you're able to do pre-prepared meals. Okay, you got a distribution site. Okay, you got a vehicle, you got a refrigerated truck. Many hands make light work.
Hey, Farmer Brown, how many Instagram followers does LeBron James have?
Millions.
72.6 million Instagram followers. Now, that's how many people are following LeBron James. Now, if you go through your, this is a question I'm posing to our audience. Okay, how many farmers, no matter what color, but how many black farmers do you know? How many black farmers are you following? How many farmers are you following? How many farmers do you know? How many farmers can you reach out to and be like, hey, how you doing today? What's growing on? How's it growing?
You want to do, so you said LeBron has 70 million?
Over 70 million.
On Instagram. How many does Black Farmers Network, BFN, on Instagram? How many followers?
All right, I'm gonna give an honest guess. I'm gonna guess about 19,000.
7,820.
Oh,
how many does
God.
Black Farmers and Homesteads on Instagram at Black People Grow? How many followers do they have?
How many?
Black Farmers and Homestead has 46,000. This is just to name a few.
That's crazy.
I mean, I would hope those jump shots taste very good in a food crisis. I would hope those three-pointers are life-sustaining. I would hope the statistics, you know, how many points this person has scored is going to keep your children fed when come knocking on the door. This is just to put this in perspective. You have entities like Shop Black. They have a very formidable list of Black farmers in different regions. Like I said, the Black Farmers Network on Instagram. Here at B1AG, you know, our course is very simple. This is for people starting at a seed, you know, breaking it down to, hey, you know, these are the soil amendments you need. These are the things to factor in if you're wanting to get started on a micro level. But information is all around us. When we think about cooperatives, so Federation of Southern Cooperatives, you know, this is a very formidable network of Black farmers, specifically in the Southeast. When we think about brothers like John Boyd, there's a wealth of information that is at this moment in time is available with a click of a few buttons. If we can, you know, a critical mass of us, it's not going to be everybody. It's not going to be everybody. But if we can get a critical mass of us to value our food security, you know, more than drama, more than jump shots, more than entertainment, and really sit down and map out a 10-year plan, a 20-year food plan, I guarantee we will see changes in this world immediately.
I mean, you know, we push hard to grow harder. We want you to grow harder for you and your family. Now, when you combine this with cooperative economics, which it is going to take, I don't think you all understand that if there is a huge mass of people that are hungry, they're coming to eat you next. They're coming to take what you got. They're coming to pillage and plunder. What would you do if you were hungry and you're trying to feed your children? What would you do if you were on the brink of hunger and you just want to feed yourself? So before we get to that point, let's stay ahead of that trend and let's start growing some food, working together, and shoring up in our local food system. We don't want to have to go too far to get some good food. You don't want to have to expend too much energy to have to go get good food. You don't want to have to worry about, well, is the government going to bring this truck by today so I can eat? Just because you're hungry, you're not hungry today, does not mean that that hunger is not going to come knocking on your door tomorrow. This is serious business, y'all. This is serious business. We have to grow harder. We have to grow harder. We have to put into practice cooperative economics as a community, as families, as tribes. We got to think about this and come up with real solid solutions. We got to put ourselves in a position to win. And in this instance in which I'm speaking of, when I say win, to be able to feed yourself and to have clean water.
Hey, bro. Mother Earth, depending on ideology, Earth is a body. So you're an athlete. You're a big dude, right?
Correct.
What happened when you hurt your wrist? You had some sort of anesthesia to make the pain go away briefly, right?
I ain't take that.
The example I'm making is there's anesthetics to make the pain go away briefly.
Yes.
Right? What happens, or in somebody who's had a wisdom tooth pulled, once that anesthetics, which is the distractions, the media, the things that keep us distracted, once that go away, it don't matter how big of an athlete, psychologically or physically you are, that's going to break you down, isn't it?
It's going to hurt.
Cuba is an appendage of this body that we're all a part of. South Africa is an appendage of this body that we're all a part of. North Korea is a part of this body. Afghanistan, Haiti, Bahamas, South America, Australia. These are all parts of the body that we're a part of. And we see that the anesthetic is wearing off. We see that the people are uprising. They're not just uprising because they woke up one morning and say, you know what, I just want to go out and turn up. The same thing that is affecting their food security there is affecting food security everywhere. I'm pro Turtle Island. Let me not get it twisted. I'm pro Turtle Island. I'm a part of this land, right? But there's people around the world that in their mind, like, this Turtle Island place, whatever they want to call it, is the reason why I ain't got no food over here. Maybe it ain't y'all melanated people that got nothing to do with it, but you're there. And the resources y'all got there are taken away from the resources we have in these other parts of the body. And this is when you start getting into geopolitics. But saying that to say, family, the best way to stave that off is to be able to grow some, if not all of our own, and produce. Production over consumption. The anesthetic is wearing off.
B1AG Family. Get your children together, get your uncles, cousins, aunties, little Leroy down the street, he needs something to do. Y'all get together. Go to healthyblackfood.com. Sign up for the course. Learn how to grow your own food. Get out there as a family, as a community, as a tribe, and get out there and start growing your own food. And as you grow your own food, start thinking, okay, how can we preserve this food? How can we store this food? How can we make sure that our family out of town, they can take a part of this? How can we make sure that nobody on your street, starting with your home, is hungry? We need to make these destinations, make these, just make it now. We have to come up with these things now. Put it on paper, put it in the dirt. Put it on paper and write it in the dirt. And it's got to happen now. This is survival.
Long-term survival. Not next week, not next political cycle, 20, 30, 40, 50, 200 years down the road. What are we planting today to have a yield 50 years down the road, 200 years down the road?
Fellas, you know where the best barbers, you know exactly where you want to go to get your barber, your haircut and your beard shaped up, or where to get your Jordans or your exclusive shoes. Get to know farmers the same way. Get to know where, I know if I want these good collard greens, or if I know if I want this good squash, or if I want whatever, these sweet potatoes, I can go over here. I can go there. I know this guy. Yeah, he give me the deals on the bushels. Ladies, you know where to get your hair done, your feet done, your toes, hands. You know where to get them bundles, get the deals on all these clothes. You better know where these farmers are at. You know what I'm saying? You got some of y'all, you got your recreational partakings, where y'all have y'all people. You keep them on deck on speed dial. You need to have your doggone farmers on speed dial. Go, it's serious. You got to, I don't understand how we can there are so many things that we put in priority over our food. And we were programmed that way. And we have to deprogram ourselves to get, food, clothing, shelter. Food, clothing, shelter. Let's get back to the basics. And when I say food, I mean being able to access this food at little to no cost in money or energy. Clothing. I'm not talking about no fashion design. I'm just talking about just being able to make sure that you are clothed. Make sure that you have something on your body to protect you from these elements outside. Shelter, the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Everybody doesn't have to live in a doggone 20-bedroom mansion, especially if there's only 2 people living there. We got to be more efficient in how we use our resources. And it's not pocket watching or saying, you can't enjoy, luxuries in life, but we got to be practical about this as we move forward into the future, because these luxuries in life are in way more scarcity, than these natural resources. Jordans ain't gonna matter if you ain't got no food to eat. You're just gonna die in your Jordans. You're just gonna die in your Versace. You're just gonna die in your Chanel. You're gonna die with clutching a Hermes bag, and you ain't even got no chewing gum in there. Serious, y'all. HealthyBlackFood.com. HealthyBlackFood.com. Let's get black to the garden. Let's get black to the garden. Let's get to growing harder. There are economic opportunities in agriculture. Let's take advantage of them. I firmly believe that there are a myriad of social and economic issues that are plaguing this planet, plaguing our communities, plaguing this whole entire world that can be handled through agriculture. Because I don't know about y'all, I know when I'm eating well and I am full and sustained, everything else is all right, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, everything else is all right when my stomach ain't grumbling. Farmer Brown, any last words?
We're in our finest hour. The writing is on the wall. How are we going to script the rest of it?
Everybody, thank you for taking part in this conversation. I hope you soak it in. Soak it in. Food, clothing, shelter. What's going on? Global food shortages continue to worsen. This means higher food prices at the supermarket everywhere.
Support these black farmers.
Support these black farmers. Grow something yourself. Reclaim this God-given right to grow your own food. You don't have to become a large-scale farmer as, a career, but that knowledge will save your life. That knowledge will make sure that your children make it on to past all of this. We have to keep this knowledge of growing our own food, unless you just want to accept whatever they give you, whether it's nutritious, real food or not. And that's knowledge. And Farmer Brown, if they really really want to know something, not just a little bit. I ain't talking about just know a little bit. You know how some people just read the clips, the highlights. You know, so everybody don't dig deep, or even it could be a paragraph. They're not even going to read the paragraph. They're just going to read the headline. But if you really want to know something, what do the people need to do, Farmer Brown?
If you really want to know something, as above, so below, let's grow something.
There it is. Make sure that you subscribe to B1AG Daily Bread Podcast on YouTube. Just type B1AG Daily Bread Podcast into the search bar, and make sure that you subscribe. Let's grow this platform. Let's get this conversation bigger. Let's make sure that everyone prioritizes where our food comes from, what's going on with our food. Make sure that that is a part of our daily conversation, just like we worry about who's the greatest, Biggie, Jay-Z, or Nas. You know, we need to be talking about well, shoot, I know old Farmer Johnson, he grows the best collard greens. I know old Farmer Thompson. Shoot, he got the best squash I ever seen. Let's make it a priority. Until next time, people, make sure that you keep see the notifications, like, share, subscribe. Let's get this out there. Our food is our security. Our food is our food lends as much to our security as an AR-15. Y'all be blessed, be abundant, operate from a place of love, spread love, plant seeds, plant good seeds, plant good thoughts, express yourself, walk in your power, have a great weekend, put them seeds in the ground and them prints in the mud. It's John Henry Harris, Farmer Brown MC. And until next time, we out. Meet you at the grand harvest.